Russia is extremely experienced in the informational warfare, and it tries to use various problems around the world as a tool of destabilization. That's why Russia, with their bot farms, with their experience, can actually be behind, potentially, behind this mass migration crisis in Ceuta. All because it's not the first time that Russia actually uses both information attacks on countries and migration as a tool of destabilization. One of the things that many good people in healthy democracies do not understand is that Russia is not fighting for a specific party, unfortunately. And sometimes we can even see that in one country, far right and far left parties will be both for Putin, which is insane because they are supposed to share different opinions. It's all because Putin wants to polarize countries. That is the kind of hybrid warfare that he leads against the European Union, against the United States for a very, very long period of time. And I believe that a lot of problems that many countries in the European Union, for example, or in the UK, have already experienced and have never connected to Russia were actually directly monitored, fueled, or even orchestrated directly from the Kremlin. I'm sure in future we may have more information, but just as an already proven illustration, in 2021, Russia was responsible for a huge migration crisis from the side of Belarus to Poland, Latvia, Lithuania. And they specifically helped people amass on the borders with Belarus and try to break through to Poland and Lithuania, causing a very big crisis and both like border guard crisis and political decisions. What to do in such situation. Many of these migrants were literally encouraged and brought by the Kremlin to the borders of Poland and Lithuania. It happened in 21, just before the full-scale invasion. Why? Putin wants to create chaos, polarization, and also to demonstrate to some people in the European countries that, look, your leaders are incapable, they cannot protect your borders, so don't listen to them, do not respect them, do not respect the European Union, do not respect the king or whatever. Because when people are angry at each other, people are polarized, people do not trust anyone, it's way easier to continue their evil operations. It's not just to distract attention from Ukraine. That would be too selfish of me to think so. But it's just to invest in more problems. The weaker the countries are, the stronger Putin feels himself. Again, as a classical bully. Russia, the largest country in the world with so many natural resources, is totally incompatible. It cannot compete with Italy. It cannot compete with the United Kingdom, not mentioning the United States or some other countries. So they can only export chaos, problems, polarization, and that's what they do in this kind of world. It's easier for them to manipulate public opinion and to continue expansion, crisis, and they can actually coordinate it with other axes of evil. In 2015, 2016, if I'm not mistaken, there were also rumors about a similar crisis on the borders of Finland and Norway, with from this like Arctic side, which again might have been orchestrated by Russia. But these we are talking about like real people on the borders. And the informational space is definitely intoxicated by Russian bots and troll farms. It all began with the Olgino troll farm that was one of Prigozhin's Putin's former supporter, and then the one who organized the march against him and disappeared or was blown up on his plane. And now we have other networks like Doppelhanger and Pravda, and there are so many networks. You also have to remember that Russia spends approximately $1 billion yearly on various information campaigns and troll farms. What is also bad, that it happens on the state level with the support of governments and ministries. If in some countries people try creating such bot forms, they are against the law. And in Russia, it's the government that stands behind that. And I know that, thank God, more and more internet users, those who watch high quality content online, are able to distinguish between the Russian misinformation or openly evil, toxic messages. But what they do with such huge amounts of bots and trolls and other artificial creatures, stolen accounts, is they try to influence the algorithms. And you have a flood of similar messages that encourage people to cross the border or misinform them about the changes in the legislation of Spain. And they believe what they see because of the amount of these fake accounts that kept dropping similar messages and put them on the surface. So that is actually very evil. And the problem that when democracies are trying to restrict such technologies to protect social media, not to fight with individuals, but to fight with such waves that create evil, like break algorithms and bring you this toxic fake information. In Russia, they are working on the country while restricting internet inside their own country. I think this is also a proof they know how many operations they conduct in this free internet, and they are afraid that someone can use that against them, and they keep shutting more and more internet inside Russia.